Have you ever felt the resistance of not exactly implementing your new holistic lifestyle? Well, you're not alone, number one, and you're not failing. You're actually integrating. And so most people quit at the exact moment when their nervous system is shifting. And believe it or not, that's all a part of the process. Sometimes we tend to have this idea that we go from our old lifestyle to our new lifestyle, and it's some magical Disney situation. But in fact, there's a lot of shifting that's going on, and there's a lot of change. And that change you can feel messy, you can feel confused, you can feel frustrated, but mostly it feels like failure. So if you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Dr. Erica Steele. I'm a board certified naturopathic doctor. I hold 7 degrees in my field, all in the natural healthcare space. I like to say that I went to school so you don't have to. And this is week 12 of Inside Your Intro to Holistic Medicine. And I'm breaking down the real emotions that show up during healing, not the pretty ones, not the, love and light ones, not the, oh, I'm elated, but more so the ego resistance, the failure, the shame, the frustrations, the disappointments, all the messy ones. And so we want to understand what healing truly is, right? Healing is not about perfection. It's really about progress. And failure is not the opposite of success. In fact, failure is just a breakdown in performance, but furthermore, it's feedback. It's telling us where we need to go next, what we need to do, or how we need to adjust. And so when we begin to reframe failure out from a self-indictment, because most people, when they fail at something, they go into this judgment mode. I'm wrong, I'm bad, I need to be punished. Instead of looking at it as, okay, I'm going to be curious now, what didn't work and what do I need to change and what do I need to put in place so that I can now have that success that I'm looking for. Imposter syndrome and resistance are actually signs of a threshold. So it's not a weakness. It actually shows you that your old identity, the old self-concept, the old way that you have been doing things is no longer working. And so that old patterning begins to now conflict with this new awakening that you're having. And so it's not weakness, actually, it's progress. It's actually showing us that you're doing the work. And so integration often looks like stillness, confusion, wanting to quit, avoidance, procrastination, all sorts of different expressions come up that I go over in week 12 of Intro to Holistic Medicine. And so we dive deeply into all of these different components so that you really understand what's at stake here. So when I did my Saturday class, we broke it down. There's an amazing chart that we'll put into the course shell for you. And so we have to begin to normalize that messy middle, because otherwise we're not going to get to the location. It's like, if I'm going to drive from Virginia to California, right? I'm not just going to go from one place to another, even if I'm flying. We're not at the place of, what is it, back from Star Trek? I can't remember, where they would beam me up, Scotty. We're not at that place yet where it's an instant, but we have this urgency for it to be instant, instead of understanding we have to muddle through that messy middle, right? Because that messy middle is where you get yourself back. That's where real healing actually happens. It doesn't happen when things are going well, when things are perfect. In fact, I think I've learned the most from my breakdowns, because we know the deeper the breakdown, the deeper the breakthrough, the more rewarding it is. And so whatever starting point you're at, you're doing fine, you're doing perfect. You just have to keep going, through the process. So if this sounds like a good time for you to join our course, we'd love to have you. There's still time. This week is all about integration. We take 3 weeks off and kind of pick up more humans along the way. And so it's a self-guided course. You can go ahead and click the link in the bio, scroll down, hit the little form, and away we go on the journey. And of course, even if you just want to check out the content, you can like, share, subscribe, comment, and engage in that way. So thank you guys so much for listening, and welcome aboard week 12, Intro to Holistic Medicine.